Really glad to have you today. Thank you.
Oh, okay. You too, to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so Chantal, Mario was actually the one that sent me the Stand for Thee link that I had shared and that we had watched as well. So Mario had sent that to me. And from my understanding, Mario, you were actually on that call or part of that group?
Yes, I'm a part of the group, but I'm not one of the representatives. I am part of the group. I go to the meeting. I attend the meeting every Friday. They have different meetings, one for parents, one for elderly, one for general audience, where they talk about, yes, all the actions that they take, all the tribunals, all the, let's say, all the things that they're trying to enforce, under the common law. So yes, this is what they do. And as a parent, I've been involved in a couple of, let's say, arrests under the common law for a couple of mayors. So
Nice.
I've been there. Yeah.
And what has that been like for you?
Well, first off, all the parents in the different regions, because this is done into the different regions, because you have to send the letter to the police, and then they have to acknowledge that there is an issue. The issue in this case is what they're doing to kids, to children. Which is in our case, the mask, and you have to stay in quarantine, and you can't stay with your peers, and there are also those difficulties. And so children, they are suffering, and there are, suicides rates rising. And there are a lot of problems, psychological problems. So this is causing a real, epidemic. This is the pandemic, not the virus itself. It's what's going on, and let's say the side effects of everything they are enforcing, because they are enforcing those things without actually a solid scientific evidence. This is the main point. So we are trying to fight this system through the common law, obviously, and all those mayors are better. Men and women acting as mayors are personally liable under the common law. And so they get the notice. The police gets the notice from the parents. And it's not an actual going there and arrest and handcuffing and going and throwing to prison anyone, because under the common law you can still have a trial without the person that you call, like the mayor, for instance, in this case. But since we don't have still in Canada a real common law tribunal, it doesn't exist. What not only the group Stand for D, but even Jackie with the Magna Carta, they're trying to change things and having a trial by jury and not a jury trial, like they are doing right now. So this is the first common law tribunal actually that they made last Saturday in Mississauga. There were 12 people. They were the jury. So the grand jury was formed by those 12 people. And those 12 people actually ruled and saying that they found, the mayor, the women acting as a mayor on Mississauga, Crowley Bonning, guilty. So then they file, all the documents, documentation. They can file these documents with the International Common Law Tribunal. And as soon as things, get together, so they start to form tribunals here in Canada. And also police, common law police, sheriffs, policemen who actually act under the common law. Because now there is a kind of double standard. The same police actually should serve, the people, maintain the peace, so acting under the common law, but actually they are acting under the mayor's, orders. So the mayor says, okay, in Toronto, for instance, all the rallies, we don't want rallies, so you have to go there and find people and put them in jail and so forth. And they obey to them. So they put their authority before the common law. For them, the common law is secondary. Even though you go there and you speak about the Charter of Rights or the Bill of Rights, who actually is, let's say, a kind of crap, because the common law is something that is an unwritten law, right? So with the Bill of Rights or all these kind of rights, they just try to put in words whatever is, the common law. So all the principles, all the things that human beings should, follow, and we naturally follow those things, without having anyone, to tell us how to behave.
Natural laws. We're just experiencing a technical issue, Mario. We can't hear you and you're frozen. But we're not live and there's no one else on, so it's all good.
What they call the authorities, yes, they are trying to enforce. So this is a real problem today, and to have a shift, from whatever is the authority and the government and whatever is commanding right now today, into a no citizen, is a man and women, actually popular, the people, we the people, having authority over them, and not the converse.
We lost you for part of what you were saying. I'm so sorry to say, Mario. You were on a rift. And
oh, did you lose me?
We did lose you, and I'm so sorry. I was trying to speak, and I was trying to capture your attention, but you came back and you just kept on with it. So
but I didn't see.
Again.
I didn't see you waving. That's why I didn't see you waving. Just a second.
This is so wonderful because basically last week Chantel and I had come together as there's some working. Just so everybody who listens to the replay is aware, I'm just going to kind of set this up and say, welcome to the 11th Peaceful Inner Warriors United, lawfully organized.
Yes, well, yeah. We just started right away.
we did just start right away, but that's absolutely perfect because we're the only ones that have shown up today. And there's always a reason. And so been a lot of shifting that's been taking place behind the scenes for all of us. And so in terms of prioritizing, how to fit this in and the value of it, originally we had hosted these meetings because we were having people come on that could talk more about common law further than where we are, because I don't want this to be a summit of me speaking largely, because I do a lot of speaking, but ultimately I want people to gain access to information that I don't have that then can become part of that too. So I really appreciate your being willing to come on.
Yes.
And you've shown
up. No problem. Well, as I said, yes. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't belong to any of governmental, let's say, institutions. So everything I say and I know about the common law and about all those things that we're talking about today, and we'll be talking for the last 11. This is the 11th, right?
Yeah.
The 11th meeting. Are all those things that we know through history.
Yeah.
So people who actually took action before, and people who actually did something, and now we can understand, what's going on and how to apply those things. So the thing is very complicated under, you know, a certain point of view. Common law is simple, but all the things that now were going on in the past, in the very past, you know, I'm talking about millennium, way back in the years till today, it's something that is very, very complicated. It's treasonous. It's something, you know, it's a crime against humanity. And it's so well done that people do not realize it. This is the point. You know, people don't realize it. They just come to the world and they say, oh, okay, there is a government, there is a tribunal, there is a judge, there is a police officer, there is this and that. But they don't realize why actually we come to the world and why we, I don't know, got registered with a birth certificate. What is the meaning of this birth certificate? And this is very, very, you know, this is the actual point. You know, if you understand why we have a birth certificate, why they push us to register, you know, with this birth certificate, why they push us to go to the tribunal and to face a judge or a trial when we go to a tribunal, and why we don't have a jury, but we have jury trials today, which is something that they do under the Roman law and the Admiral law, which is the law of the sea. It's everything. It's about, let's say, goods, not people. We are considered, you know, like goods. We are treated like goods by them. No, like a stock, like animals, like you know, anything we can sell, you know, and we can ship. And that's why they use all the terms with the ship, you know, citizenship, because we are considered under the law of the sea, under the Admiral law, like a cargo, something that has a value, and we are used as a collateral for their, you know, whatever they want to do. So the more they have, and the more, you know, let's say, power the nation has, because they have more collateral for their debts, for their to get more money, to create more money as well. Because if you consider the creation of mind, the point of creation of mind of money are created essentially when you get, you know, a debt. When you get a debt like a loan, a mortgage, or a credit card, you know, they start to create money. And the more people ask for those goods and those services, the more people, the more money they make. And everything is treasonous. And we think that, oh, it's a privilege to get a credit card. It's a privilege to get a mortgage. It's a privilege to have a, I don't know, a driver license. There are no privileges. As human beings, we don't have privileges. We have the right to do something. We have the right to travel. And we are not drivers, we are travelers. And they use, you know, even those tricky words into a legalese system to trick us as well. And so that when we go and we get stopped by police and they ask us, do you understand? As yes, we stand under them if we agree. And this is a verbal contract. And we don't understand, actually now we have to admit this, we don't understand that we're living under a contract law. Everything we do, we abide, or we say, yes, we agree to a contract. So nothing is actually, let's say, imposed to us. Nothing is mandatory. If the police says something to us, we can agree or we can disagree. It's not an imposition. And this is the main key, the main point, which under the common law we can better understand, you know, how it works. So when let's say they stop us and they ask for an identification, or they ask for something else, well, we have the right not to tell them anything. We even have the right to say nothing to them when they ask us something. But many people don't know, so they think, oh, the authority says that, so I have to comply. And this is the real problem today: compliance. Compliance got us where actually we are today, under this draconian, measures and norms and policies, or whatever you want to call, under this COVID situation, which is unsustainable. And this is all a matter of compliance. If people, do not comply, they start to say no, and no to everything, and they just not comply with the government, with the policies, with the bylaws, with all those things that actually are not laws and don't belong to us. And this is the other thing that the people don't understand. If something doesn't belong to us, who belongs to? All the governments, and we know that as a fact, all the governments, all the municipality entities, regions, or whatever you want to mention, the police itself, are all corporations. All those corporations, we know that all corporations make their internal policies for their employees, and those corporations, those policies are called bylaws. So they are, let me say, passing these bylaws, internal bylaws that the corporation do every day, every year, and they want us to comply with those bylaws as they were laws, but they are not laws. That means that if you make an offense, and this is another legalese term on the offense, so you don't want to comply with one of the bylaws that they said, oh, this is law. No, it's not law, it's a bylaw. So if you don't want to comply with one of those bylaws, actually nothing happens. You just get fined at maximum, you can get a fine, but you don't go to jail because you haven't committed a crime. It's not under the criminal code, which is a way different. The criminal code, and regulates all the aspects of the criminality. If you do something wrong, if you actually kill somebody, if you steal something, so the criminal code is something different. But all the administrative things, and so you can go out, you can't. You can open up a I don't know, a restaurant, you can open up a gym. No, you have to close. Because why? Because the bylaw says that. Everything stays closed, and we are under quarantine, and we are under curfew, or whatever the measure they think they want, us to comply with. It's because we are voluntarily, staying under, so understanding those bylaws. And who is the enforcement? Who is going to enforce, the bylaw that they make? There is the bylaw office enforcement, which is another corporation under the municipality corporation that shows up to your store, knocks the door, and says, "Oh, but you're open, but the bylaw says that you must stay closed." But actually, bylaws pertain to corporations and pertain to the what's called the employees, the corporation. It doesn't pertain to the general public. It just pertains to the general public if the general public voluntarily wants to comply with those bylaws. So if I want to comply, I say, okay, the bylaw says I have to close, I say close. But if I don't want to close, if I want to stay open, I can use, the common law. I can put a notice on the door, putting on notice everyone, the cops, or all the employees of the corporations who actually wrote or want to enforce the bylaw, saying that, you're on notice, so you have to show me, if you come here, if we have a contract, because the only way we can do something and you have authority over me if I have agreed to a contract. Since I have no agreement with anyone, I have a store, I have a business. I don't have to agree with a corporation to stay open. It's my right to have a business and to, to do whatever I want to do. There is no man and no corporation, no municipality that has to come to me and says, okay, no, now you have to close your door and shut everything down because I said so. So who's coming to knocking the door is coming the bylaw officer. And sometimes they come with the police, but when they come with the police just for intimidation, because the police can't enforce anything. Police can't enforce bylaws. The police enforce law, not bylaw. So they come with the police. So you see a couple of bylaw officers, a couple of police officers. They intimidate you, and then you say, oh, okay, no, I have to close. Okay, I close. Yes, but in the meantime, you get fined because you open up. But if you start to say to them, okay, so I don't have to comply. I don't want to make a contract. I don't wish to contract with you. Because you're a private corporation, you come to me, another private corporation, and you want to have jurisdiction over me. So you come to me and you say you have to close. What is the agreement, that says that I want to comply and I wish to comply and I agree to this? Because if I agree with something that you say, always to say in honor, this world, everything we do and they do, we must say in honor, what we say. So if you give me a contract, I have to reply to you saying yes or no. I can just ignore you, because if I ignore, I'm dishonoring the contract that you're, giving to me. At that point, they actually have the right to fine me. But if I tell them, no, actually, I don't agree to your contract. I don't wish to contract with you, and walk away. This is the right way to do things. And not only in the case of a business. Even if you go in a store without a mask and they start to argue about why you don't put a mask, but we are a private business and we make our own policies. Yes, but the policies of the region, your policies can trump, the one of the region or the provincial bylaws and all the stuff. So now you can even talk about legalese with them about those little things. But sometimes cops are involved. And when cops are involved, it's a little bit tricky, talking about legal things, because they can come up with other things like trespassing. They can come up with, I don't know, regulations and little things that they try to enforce. And actually, they always try to enforce. Because if you know what actually a trespass is, and if you know what actually, a bylaw or something that they try to enforce is, actually that they have no ground to do anything to you. That's why it's much simpler, to stay on the common law ground. If you stick to the common law ground, common law, it's simple. You get there, you talk to the officer, and I didn't commit any crime. Which crime did I commit? Stepping into the store without a mask. I'm not committing a crime. So there's no victim, there's no crime, there's no reason. You want to keep the peace. Okay, yes, this is what actually a police, a cop should do. Keeping the peace, but I have rights as well as a human being, as a man, because human being is another legalist. As a man or a woman, I have the right, the natural right to breathe, to stay and go wherever I want to go. If I want to shop, I want to shop, and I come here to shop in this particular shop because I have some reasons. Okay, you want to accommodate me differently. I can even accept, to be accommodated differently. But there are many shops that are so militant and bigot about, those things that don't even allow you to, to talk to them and try to see if they can accommodate any ways or somehow. There are some shops that they don't have the curbside um, uh, service. They don't have the online shopping. There are many like groceries like No Frills or Food Basics or each one makes its own regulations.
Yeah.
Fortunately, yeah, unfortunately, many of them, not the most, but many of them, they say, okay, it's okay if you come without mask. Even though they ask you if you can put the mask on, you say, okay, no, medical, that's fine, it's okay. But many of those people, many of those, because I think this depends on the manager of the store, actually. Each manager has his own interpretation of the law, which they don't have even maybe they didn't even read the bylaw itself, so they don't know what they say. They just know that, oh, mask is mandatory. This is what they know. They don't know that there are exceptions, and actually there are not just medical exceptions. There are many kind of exceptions,
Of course.
but they don't know it, right? And they even don't. What they don't do? Oh, they don't put the right. Exactly. This is the unalienable rights man. So life, freedom, yes, to contract the confidentiality.
They don't
There
know.
are many. Sorry.
They don't know these things.
No, they don't. Because actually, those rights are the unwritten rights. Those are the rights that we have under the common law.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't know about those things, but they don't know even about the same bylaws that the government does. They can't go against, let's say the Charter of Rights or the rights, the constitutions and everything. They know it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why there are exemptions. So they try everybody to comply, and they say yes, but there are exemptions. But actually, those exemptions are not considered by the stone owner, the manager, whoever is in charge, which they want you to comply to their policies and their regulations. And they can put, an internal policy for their employees. Maybe you know something because this is what actually happened to you as well, right?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
for the mask, the
I've
mask.
yeah, I lost my job January 15th at Loblaws because I refused a mask. So there's a grievance and it's to stage 2, but I haven't heard back from anybody since I was called to let know that it had happened, even though I left a voicemail. So whether it was because
Mhm.
I tried to share some information with the
Yes.
union officer and took enough of her time that it wasn't worth for her to call me
It,
back or whatever it
yeah.
is. Ultimately, what I believe is going to be happening, and I've been saying this whole time, is the fact
Yes.
all they need to do is people, when they're in a reactive state or a stressed state or a fearful state, they're not
Yeah.
able to create because the letters are mixed up. And then they just go into a doing the same thing over again, expecting different results cycle that doesn't work. And so what they're doing right now is
Exactly.
putting everyone into a fearful state so that then they're not able to think rationally, and they're hoping to be able to let this go and for everything to move forward because everyone is always hid within the heart, within the herd. And so it's the herd mentality as to let's get this over with and keep
Yes.
everyone safe. And then it's also used in order to abscond personal responsibility with our choice to participate in these treasonous measures. So it's calling for
Exactly.
people to understand we can't hide behind that anymore. And ultimately, if we don't step up fast enough, and it's already nearly the end of March, like I've heard that there's going to be a lot of truth coming out next month. And a lot of people's veils are going to be ripped off, and identity crises are going to happen. People are going to lose a lot of money, jobs, food supply interruptions. Like these are all potentialities of even communication issues. If that
Yes.
of a world without Canada on YouTube is a
Yes. Well, you know, the last thing about the chain supply, actually, farmer, what happened? You know that since there are
well, Mario, you can't hear you.
those.
Sorry, Mario. Are you frozen, Chantal? No, you're just not moving. Okay. Did you have a question, or I saw you had you.
Yeah, I put my hand up around when he was talking about mortgages, because they actually get the money from our trusts, from the money
Yes.
that we're worth. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you repeat what?
You had
I lost the first. I lost the first part. I lost the first part of the question.
I just had pointed out that I had noticed Chantal had motioned that she had wanted to speak up when you were speaking a while ago.
Yes.
And so I just prompted her to speak into that. And if you want to say anything more beyond that, from what I've heard, we are worth a pound of gold per pound in weight that we are born at. And that's what then, that's a reflection of our karma that we've come here with, as to how much we're able to bring with us, and how many blessings are bestowed to us through our lineage and the heritage that our soul chose to be born into. But that's a completely different
Yes.
Is it completely different though, in this fact that
It
we're
is.
in a world that, you know, we're asking people to proclaim ourselves to be sovereign beings that came here fully provided for, and
Yes.
then we're also facing that cognitive dissonance of the fact that we are still in the minority, and we are not necessarily going to be for long. But at the same time, of the majority, you've got a lot of people that are disconnected from who they truly are, and they're very disconnected from the power that we truly have, which means then we plug our power into external forces that we then say are powerful because we're filling them with our power, forgetting that we're the ones that are fueling
We
them.
have power. Yes.
Current C. What current are you seeing out of the frequency of you, your thoughts, your heart? Everything is
Your vibrations and your connection, even, you know, with the universe and the laws of universe, because everything, you know, it works on vibrations, and it works on frequency, rhythm. It's all you know, from the very tiny little things, little brick or cells, you know, the atom. If you take the atom is not something, you know, let's say stable and fixed, it stands there by itself, and no, it's always a movement. And not only that, it's so movement, and has a certain frequency. So whatever we come in contact with, or from, you know, somebody else, so from us to others, or others toward us, everything is connected through this vibration. We can recognize, you know, the same vibrations and the same thing. Let's say that on a spiritual, or let's say in a world that we can see, so the unseen, the same vibrations that we get attracted to. On the physical world, so talking about the physical persons, so real things, the opposite get attracted. We can see, you know, in the physical world, like electricity, the protons, the electrons, they attract themselves. They are the opposite, but they get attracted because they are on the physical, in a physical system. But on a spiritual vibration, a vibe, and on a spiritual realm, all the similar things get attracted. And that's why the same way you vibrate, the same kind of persons, the same, I don't know if you want to make a group, a culture, create a community. This is how it works, because those are all spiritual things. They are not actually material things. So everything, is dual, the duality, and if we can understand what actually, how the duality work, which way this duality can affect us, we can even be able to, let's say, to change things, to change the world, to change the environment that is, within us, and other people. The same thing, people that maybe yesterday they thought that, oh no, we have to obey and stay submitted and comply because we have the authority. Today they wake up and say, oh, I am the real person. I am the person that actually, the cop works for me. I don't work for the cop so that he can demand me things. The cop works for me. So I can demand him things. I can ask him questions. He's not coming to me and say, you must give me this, and this. Yes, he can say this, and then it's up to us to comply or not. Because if we do comply, and then of course we get the fine and we have to face a trial if we go to the tribunal. Even though on the common law stand, let's say the man and the woman, they don't go to the tribunal. Because the tribunal doesn't belong, or better, a man or a woman doesn't belong to a tribunal. A tribunal is something for fiction. It's something that belongs to persons. A person is physical or juridical, which can be a corporation. It's a fictional thing, something that doesn't exist. That's why they call us persons.
Yeah, entities.
They call us persons, yeah, because we are not persons. We are persons for the law, because we are like goods, with a certain value. And that's why they want us to identify ourselves when we go to the tribunal with a document. And the document is all in the capital letters, because the capital letters are used in the tomb when you die. So all dead persons, all the corporations, dead persons, and that person are summoned. So a tribunal can summon dead. They can summon a living and breathing man or woman. Obviously, you have to know how to deal with this, because they summon you. If you don't reply, you're not an honor, and so they can come and catch you. You have to reply through notices. That's why the notices: notice to the police, notice to the tribunal, notice to the municipality, and the notice they actually have to, because you make a how it's called, a conditional acceptance. You never say no. You say, well, yes, I can come to the tribunal, but you have to give me, the reasons why, as a man, I have to come to the tribunal. And this is something they can't answer. They can't because, not because they don't know, not because they don't want to, but they can't because they know if they start to deal with those things, all the system collapses. If everybody knows their rights, and they know that they are men and women, they are not persons, and nobody shows up at the tribunals, they can close. And actually, those tribunals, they just should pertain to corporations. So if you have a business, another business, and two businesses together, they go to a trial. This is it. Not for living and breathing men and women.
So I feel like the thing is that in the Practical Lawful Dissent, which is now International Practical Lawful Dissent group on Facebook,
Yes, the packet, yes.
The oath of allegiance to the Constitution that you send to the barons, and then you have a 5 notice process to put the courts, cops, and councils on notice of the treason that's being committed, and then what is being asked of the person when we on all of the notices have notice to principal is notice to agent, and notice to agent is notice to principal. So whoever receives it is meant to tell everyone above, below, and on their same level. So I say that because what I feel, shoot. Well,
we lost him.
Lisa.
Oh, there he is.
You are perfect.
Laura, I'm back. But
Perfect.
since you started speaking, I didn't hear anything. Just froze. If you can repeat, the question under the group, you were saying under the group of the dissent in the Facebook group. So we have the letters, right?
Yeah, what I'm suggesting is that all of these different little groups that are building up, that are movements getting started, that are sending off notices to politicians and saying, send a notice for these guys and here's what you send them. It's like, is there a way that we could all just come together and get all of our treason notices and evidence coalesced so that we could just, you see what we've got? Or I say we, it's not even that. It's just like we've got David Robinson's documents that he made before he passed that are being.
Yes, I took a look actually. Yes, whatever Jackie was talking about, and all these documents, which under the Magna Carta, and which is a let's say the document, a piece of documentation, a law. Let's say even the government of Canada, they recognize the Magna Carta. The fact is this: the common law is an unwritten law, no? Which at some point in history, in different points, we can start from the Magna Carta, which historically I think is one of the first, if not the first, document, the common law document, where the human rights were put into writing. Then we can see, more recently, the Nuremberg Code, the Oviedo treat, or other treats like the UN human rights, international human rights, and the Convention of Geneva. But there are different of those things, or the one of the in France for the French Revolution. They did something similar to the Magna Carta. Mm-hmm. Now, all those things, there are actually pieces of documents where they try to put into writing something that it's unwritten, which is the common law.
You're talking about the Treaty of Nice, about the one in France?
I don't know if it's that one, but it's the same year the French Revolution. It's the human rights for it's called Human Rights for Citizens, and I don't remember. It's the 1789 treaty. It's a document that they wrote down after the French Revolution, just because after the French Revolution there were the let's say new political establishments, new parties, and they wanted the humanity to be free because they were enslaved under the kings since then, right? Mm-hmm. So those are all pieces of documents that are really important. And I think, though, that under the common law, as a person, a living, a breathing person, you actually, as a man or a woman, are the living, are the living representation of the law, just in front of a cop, just in front of a government, just in front of everything. We just are not aware of that. Well, those that are not aware of that, which is the majority. And that's why I was saying that the school system and the medical system and the health, let's say health and food administration system, they work all together for a massive indoctrination. Since kids, they go to school, and since they go to school, they just learn something, just one thing actually, to obey. Obey and comply. Obey and comply. You did this, good. You didn't this, what I said. Now you go to the office. You go to the office. Oh, there is the punishment. And now we call your parents. And the parents are indoctrinated too. And so they say, oh, thank you, principal or whoever, teacher who called me, because so I can, I can tell my kid how to behave. And the behavior is comply, 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 comply. And this is something, that goes in the mind: comply, 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 comply. It's never okay. Let's see why you behaved like this, why you didn't follow the teacher instructions. It was because you believed in that circumstance that it was right not to do this. Because otherwise, here we are going to a second, I don't know, Nuremberg trial, because they said, to the SS officer, the fact that you are just obeying an order doesn't lift you the responsibility that you for what you did.
Yep. That's
so
caution card.
Exactly. So it's the same thing. The pilot that bombed with the atomic bomb Hiroshima or Nagasaki. It's the same thing. Those persons are persons who, let's say, comply because it's easier to comply. And of course, it's challenging not to comply in those circumstances, because you are under a military order where you are indoctrinated to just follow the orders. Mm-hmm. And this is the same thing they just replicated into our society. And that's why we have not people, we have herds, we have sheep, that just have to follow orders. And they believe that if the government says something, you have to, you better comply, because otherwise there are consequences. You go to the office, like when you're in school, mm-hmm. and you go to the tribunal. Yeah, and the fact that I said, a man is a living representation of the common law itself. Mm-hmm. It means that there are ways, to talk, to the authorities, to the municipality, the different entities, through those letters. There are the notices that, there are in the group as well. Mm-hmm. Because through those notices, we're just notifying them that they're treasonous. We don't stand under their authority
or jurisdiction.
Their jurisdiction, exactly. They don't have jurisdiction over us. They can have jurisdiction toward their peers, which are, other entities, or the police has to follow the orders of the entity, and the major entity. Yeah. Yes, exactly. The pyramid, let's say the pyramid of, the power, the law, how we want to call it. But actually on the man or woman, which is breathing, and living right in front of them. Let's say if you go to the tribunal, and the judge, the first thing the judge asks you before starting any trial is, are you, and they say your name and your last name. They do this for a reason. Not just to identify you, to see who I'm talking to. No, they just want you to admit that you are the fictitious document, the fictitious piece of paper that they have released to you when you were born, and which now, let's say it's called the driver's license, because upon that document, they can give you a driver's license, they can give you a passport, they can give you any document. But that document is not you. That document is the famous bond, the famous collateral. It's the famous good, with a value for the government.
Mhm.
And they use those documents to bind you. And so to say, okay, so you are this with this name and last name with capital letters, you actually are giving life to this piece of paper, which is dead. So this dead piece of paper becomes alive. And they bring this piece of paper on the court and trial. On trial, it's not you as a person, it's this piece of paper. And to this piece of paper, they they can make a fine, they can put you in jail, they can do whatever they want. But if you tell to the judge, yes, my name is just the first name, but I'm not the document, this piece of paper that you're now giving to me, and you're asking me to verify if I'm actually this person, the judge can't continue with the trial, has to suspend the trial, because on a common law, with a trial by jury, there are other peers that judge you, so they listen to your story, and you are there like a man or woman in front of other men and women, with a person which is not the judge, but let's say the orchestrator. It's the one who organizes and let people talk.
The leader.
So the actual decision is not comes not from the judge. The decision comes from the jury,
Yes. The judge
which
is
listens
here.
listens to you, and they, with their feelings and guts, they say, okay, this is right, according to us. It's when we say common sense, it's a common sense, comes from the common law. It's something that we have inside, upon which we can decide if something is wrong, something is right, it was the right thing to do or not in that particular situation. So the actual man and woman, they don't pertain to tribunals, and they don't even go to tribunals even if they are summoned. They just send letters like notice, or a conditional acceptance to the tribunal, to the judge, to the prosecutor in this case, because it's the prosecutor that sends you, the summon, asking to the prosecutor to actually you say yes, so we can come to the trial if you can give us the evidence that a man or a woman, breathing man and woman, has to be judged by you, by according to the law, or you can ask to be judged by a trial by jury, and not a jury trial, because the jury trial is what they do normally. So the judge that applies the law. The trial by jury is the trial by a grand jury, and a certain number of people, which should be 12, the minimum number of people in a trial. And since they don't have, well, in Canada there is the double system. There is the common law and there is the standard law. It is called the civil law. So if you ask to the prosecutor and say the prosecutor, yes, well, I will come to the tribunal only if I have a trial by jury in a common law tribunal.
Mhm.
They will never give you a yes, and they will never summon you to a kind of tribunal or a trial like this, because they don't make trial, by jury. And you can do it.
I've met people, or I haven't met them yet, but I had an opportunity to meet somebody that has taken on, well, I know somebody that knows somebody that can make an intro, that has taken on the system that way. But then all they did was they moved his trial from the courtroom where he was able to advocate for himself into a trial that was an
Yes,
international case courtroom, and then
exactly.
no one understood what he was
And,
saying, and then the
and
judge
yes,
saw him
yes,
there and said, you better just leave, because
yes.
go while you can, essentially, before we throw the book at you. So
And there are no attorneys because there is no one that can represent you. Somebody can represent you in a civil tribunal because you have to know the law, you have to talk to the judge, you have to talk in legalese, so you're not able to do it. They tell you are incompetent. Actually, when they summon you in a court, you're there as an incompetent, as a person who knows nothing. So you need an attorney. An attorney is, means then that somebody that represents you
yeah,
and speaks in behalf of you.
yes,
So we have just representatives that talk to each other, and they make their own regulation. It's a big pantomime when you go to the tribunal.
it is, absolutely. Chantal, what were you gonna say?
Well, this whole thing about judges and such, like there's that guy that I've been talking to you about, Mark Christopher, he tells you exactly how you can put them in their places, pretty much. They're called puny judges. They are
Yes,
nothing. They're nothing. And you
it's
have to
like the
understand,
Inquisition. Yes,
you have to understand how to speak to them in their language. And
yes.
it's quite an undertaking. I've not even started it, but syntax grammar.
Yes,
Wow.
well, this is why common law is simple, but you have to know something, what actually do, how to actually write these letters, what to say in the letters, uh, because they always try to, no, to make you comply with their requirements. And actually, you have the power, and you can tell them what are your conditions and not them to dictate their own conditions. So if you are summoned and you say to the judge, okay, no, but I want a trial by jury, and I want to be judged in a common law tribunal, they can't say no, because the common law actually is one of the two standards here in Canada. So they have to comply with what you're asking, what you're asking for. Since they don't want to use the common law tribunals for a reason, because they know that in the very moment they start to use the common law tribunals, people will start to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will, they will prefer to discharge and to throw out all the charges that they make to you. They won't summon you to the tribunal anymore, instead of going there and having a trial in a common law tribunal. And this is what they do. And actually, all the tribunals, if you see how the tribunals works, and it's explained very well in one of the videos, that in one of the links that I sent to Laura. I don't know if you had the possibility to watch them.
You had sent me the stand for thee video that we actually did a viewing of. So we actually screened that while Chantel and I, and then Brenda and another gentleman joined in as well. So
They did.
We watched it.
But there are the videos from Santos Bonacci, the Australian guy. He explains everything, the history, how everything was born, actually, how this treasonous behavior against humanity, this crime against humanity, actually started, with the Vatican, with the Pope, with the bulls, with the because everything the Pope used to say in the past in the Vatican was law. And actually, the crown serves the Vatican. It's not the other way around, because the crown has been created by the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually today, we are owned by the Vatican. And all those trusts, because in the end, we are a trust. What they do upon us is a trust, is a legal trust. So there is, someone who is the owner of something, which is the Vatican. He owns anything, everything. And then there is the trustee and the beneficiary of the trust, the administrator and the beneficiary. And we are in the middle. We are actually nothing for them. They use the trust system to enslave us. So whatever they have, they continue to have it. The possession is always theirs. It's not ours. We just benefit from something. When we buy a house and we have the deed, we don't own the land, because the land, we can't own the land. The land belongs to the humanity. It doesn't belong to me that I bought with a deed, the lawyer. That is another fiction. I actually, what the deed means is I can use the property. Mm-hmm. And I am the exclusive user, the exclusive beneficiary of that property. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they have this trust, this big trust that they created in the very beginning, when the Pope said that all the land already discovered and to discover, because this was made before the discovery of the America. It was around 1300, 1302, something like that. So all the land already discovered, the land to be discovered, belong and will belong to the Vatican. This is the claim, and this is called the claim of right in legalese. They call it a claim of right. When I claim something, if nobody says anything, against this claim, it's true. So if I possess something and I say this is mine, the headphone is mine, and you don't say anything, no, it's mine. If you don't say anything, it's mine, even though it's not, even though I stole it. This is what the Vatican did. They just claimed everything is mine. All the lands that I have, that are discovered, and all the lands to be discovered. That's why the Americas were discovered. And then the Pope itself, the Vatican, divided the Americas to the Spanish, Portuguese, English, and French. Were the four, let's say, powers that had ships that can go around the world, and they already made commerce around the world. And the Pope gave the America to those four, nations, European nations. And today, those are the four languages that are spoken here in the Americas. So it was all the Canada to French, and then after the different wars and so on, just the Quebec belonged to the French people, and then the United States to England, and then the Brazil to the Portuguese, all the rest to the Spanish. And we speak those four languages in the America. For that reason, it was the Pope that made the subdivision and said, you have to go there, you there, you there, you there. So they decided in the end everything. So the land belongs to the Vatican. And when you buy something and you buy a property, a real estate property, actually they are not giving you the actual property. They're giving you the benefit to use the property. So they have everything, and you have the right to use that piece of land because you bought it. You actually can't buy a land. Mm-hmm. It goes back, to the owner.
So, as sovereign beings, see that, this has been incredibly informative, Mario. And next week, I would like to say that I'm hoping that Stephen Martin will be able to join us, because he has a lot of information about birth certificates. If you've had a chance to watch the interview Chantel and I did with him, the first one, where
Oh, yes, the first one, yes.
You dug into that, and
I saw, yes, and I saw many information. So yes, about the birth certificate as well. Yes.
yeah, brilliant. Well, he will hopefully be on next week, and then Stacey Wilkinson is actually going to join us next week. She can make that appointment, and so she had reached out today, and I had asked if she was able to come today, just because she's been doing a lot of work with.
Sorry, I lost. I lost. Who is the she? Jackie?
No, this is actually Stacey Wilkinson. So
Oh, okay, Stacy.
yeah, so Chantal and I had connected, and just she's done quite a lot, and so she is going to be somebody coming, and we're sticking to what is working with Article 61, and she's been helping people with and the other people. She was at an event tonight, and they were actually talking to people about taxes and the notices of conditional acceptance and the practical application of it all. So I felt like that could be really valuable for
Yeah. So
be able to gain access to somebody that's been doing it and had worked with David Robinson as well. So
yes, yes.
yeah,
Which is important, because this is the practical part, of the theory, because this is a theory, and you can understand from the theory how we have been enslaved, cursed by the same people who want to claim our salvation.
Mhm.
It's the Catholic Church is the first one, is the ultimate of those evil things, that institutions that actually own ourselves. And so if you take practical steps to do and fight something, little by little, um, everything becomes clearer, because you just start from a little thing, a little step, and then you understand well what you're doing, and you say, okay, so if this works this way, it can work, even though if I do this, and you go a little bit out of the comfort zone, because here actually is going out the comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know?
Mario, you have had so much wisdom and insights to share with us today, and I would love for you to frame today and your contributions by sharing some of your journey and how you came to be able to have an hour's worth of conversation about common law, because you're not a lawyer, but you couldn't be a lawyer necessarily. You don't have to be a lawyer necessarily to understand
No,
what is common.
no, exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you share that, I think it's important for people to be able to see the people who are
Yes.
sharing this, because we're not saying, this is legal advice. It's not, it's lawful. And it's like everything that we're doing, it's like, these are just Chantal, myself, Mario, we're just real people. And we found some answers, and some people will say that's a conspiracy, and then you look at the fact, it's like, well, when the truth all connects and then it makes a puzzle,
Yes.
like what do you say? Like, how much of a conspiracy is that? Like, we didn't put the image together, it just all fit.
Well, yes, first thing that I want to say is this. People say many things, and people like to give advices, you know. So and most of the time are not good advices, even because if you want to have success in something, you must follow advices from something that has already had success. Otherwise, you have the same unsuccess that is the majority, actually. So those unsuccessful people are coming to you telling, oh, but you should do this, you should do that. Well, on a marketing standpoint, I can understand this. It will work very well, because if I want somebody give me an advice, they will be the first to give me an advice. And so I will push somebody to talk to me, and then I can sell them something. I work in marketing. I make some marketing, and that's why those are psychological tricks, that are used in marketing. Mm-hmm. So that if you want to make somebody, if you want to attract somebody, actually, you can do it, with similarities. So, okay, I resonate with you, so we can talk. Or you can ask somebody an advice, an unwanted device, actually. It's just a pretext to start a conversation. And so people will generally say, oh, this is a conspiracy theory, and this is now the law works, and this is not this is not that. First off, if you want to see if something is actually true or not, you should see actual facts and not what people say. So just the fact that there are many videos on YouTube that you can search where people have already gone to the tribunal and they stood by their men and women, let's say, trial, and they start to argue with the judge about this, and all the judges discharged them, and they just went away. They went out of the court. This means that this thing not only works, but it's powerful. Because if you go to the tribunal and the judge discharges everything and goes away, means that who has power there is you as a man or woman, and not him with the legalese and the black suit. This is, the very first thing that where you can understand and discriminate if something works or not, if it's fantasy or it's something that actually can be made. Obviously, many things today are true, but are hidden. Not everybody knows that. And so people tend to say, okay, no, but I've never seen anybody going to the tribunal and talk this way to the judge, and no, it's crap. You're saying something that doesn't belong to this system. To my well, you can have your opinion, but that's fine. But if you go to a tribunal and this is what happened, that means that actually works. But not on the tribunal. If a cop, stops you. A cop stops you and you tell them, that they can't ask for your identification if you haven't committed anything, a crime or something, under the common law. Mm-hmm. And this works. This actually works. You have to try a little bit because they try to enforce their law, And so you have to stand on your ground and say, no, but the common law, I have rights, and the common law says this. You can't ask me for documents if I'm here. And they say, oh, no, you were gathering, because they when there was the lockdown or the curfew, gatherings were not allowed.
Yeah. Mario,
so
when did you start your journey with, I'm sorry to cut you off, but when did you actually start your journey? Because
I started 2010, actually.
In 2010.
2010, yes, 10 years ago, because at that time there was a group, an international group, which is called OPPT, One People, One People Trust is the T, the other P, I don't remember the other P. Anyways, you can find on Google the OPPT. Which was doing exactly this, was studying where we started from, what the Vatican did, and they were trying to reverse the thing. So they were trying to put the people in power, creating another trust against the trust that the Vatican created. And so they were giving to the people the power again. With this group that was born around 2010, then 2012, they make the first trials in tribunals, and they got the documentations, because the OPPT is registered under the UCC. The UCC is the Uniform Commerce Code, which is the code that everybody internationally use for commerce. And under the UCC, we are actually fined. We get a fine. We get all the administrative things. So when a cop gives you a fine, you have to pay something to the tribunal. the government sends you a letter to pay taxes. Everything is regulated by the UCC and all the governments worldwide. So it's an international code, and it's well known, by international lawyers. So this group, the OPPT, OPPT, the other P, I don't remember the other P. Anyways, the OPPT started to do this movement, and so that's why what I said before, the common law is unwritten, So there are many ways to fight against the system. The Magna Carta actually is one of them. But if we go like in Brazil, where in Brazil, I don't think they have something to do with the Magna Carta because they are not in the Commonwealth. They should use something different because there are human beings there. There are men and women, and they have power as well. It's not just the man and the woman under the Commonwealth that has the Magna Carta that has rights. We have rights everywhere we go, and everywhere they are. So Brazilian in Brazil, Argentinian in Argentina, and so forth, worldwide. So the ways you can fight the system actually are more than one. You can use the Magna Carta way. You can use yourself where you are one-on-one with the cop. And so you say you must know, obviously, what your rights are as a man, as a woman, and what they can or can't do, because otherwise you can talk to them, because somehow you have to educate the cop. Cops are, most of the time, are not educated in this. They're just educated in complying and obey to the orders. And that's why you go over a cop. Okay, you don't understand. Let's call the supervisor. And sometimes the supervisor is not educated as well. And then at that point you say, okay, give me the fine. I will fight the fine tribunal. And with this system of letters and of acceptance, conditional acceptance, asking for a common law trial, you can, discharge, you can get discharged. But it's a process. And sometimes it's slow. And sometimes it's, I don't want to say painful, but sometimes you have to, go and research and see how to behave, what to write, how to write a letter, what to say in the letter. But if you have case studies, and the more we go on, and the more case studies we have, so we have case studies of people that are rejecting, going to a trial and tribunal, people having case studies of how they behave with policemen. And we can find them even on the social media, YouTube, because the most of them they record, they film what they're doing, and it's always a good idea to film whatever we do when we get in contact with those people, just to protect ourselves, to have evidence, because this way, if they want to go into an actual tribunal and you have to give some evidence or something, or talk to their supervisors or whatever we need to do, there are the evidences that this cop did this unlawfully. And so we can actually be discharged from a trial or from a fine for a ticket because it's unlawful. So unlawful things are not, are not a contract, and all the contracts are null and void if something in the first place was unlawful. They say illegal, whatever you want to call it, but it's unlawful. Are two different things, legal and lawful. But sometimes things are mixed because they have the double standard, and they use it. So we have to. The first persons to comprehend, what's going on, where we want to go, which result we want to get, and accordingly talk in a certain way to the police officer or to the judge or to whoever is asking us, explanations. So I started in 2010 with the OPPT, and I went through, all the process and all the little things, historical things that actually matter, because you can understand how everything began, and you can somehow fight with their same tools, because those are all tools that they use. The trust, the tribunals, cops, they're all tools in their arsenal that they use against us. And so if we know, I understand where those things come from, then we can react accordingly, and we can give a response. And responses, as I said, can be different. So in a Commonwealth, we can use the Magna Carta, which is pretty easy and pretty straightforward, because the Magna Carta says, the Article 61, and the barons were against, the king, and whatever the king did. And I don't remember, 2003 was 2003.
Won people's public trust in the comments. If that makes, what do you mean by that, Chantal?
I was looking up the OPPT.
Oh.
The PPT.
Yeah.
They want people public trust. There is a public.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, the OPPT, yes, it's still today. It's still working, and many people that are not in the Commonwealth nations, they are using the OPPT system to fight the system.
Wow.
Which is always linked on the common law. In other words, the OPPT uses the common law to do those things. But everybody internationally can use the OPPT. Specifically in the Commonwealth, we can use the Magna Carta. And so I was saying the Magna Carta is pretty straightforward. And if you stand under the Magna Carta, unless the cop or the institution or the judge or whoever is you're talking to is not educated on the Magna Carta and what it is, they will understand almost right away, and they will understand that you have rights and that something unlawful is going on, and so they can leave you, let's say, alone. Establishing a Commonwealth, a common law tribunal, on the other hand, it's a little bit more complicated, because there must be a certain number of people that must decide and organize themselves for common law trials. And it is possible to use the same tribunals infrastructure that they are using today for the civil trials, for the ordinary trials that they do, because everybody can get access to a tribunal, and everybody can have a trial. We have the right to have a trial. And we have a right even to decide which kind of trial we want to have. If we don't say anything, they go for their way. So their way is the trial, the jury trial. Our way is the trial by jury. So we want to have some peers who judge us. And in those trials, there are no attorneys. Actually, we represent ourselves. So we go there and speak to the 12 people. And the 12 people, they are all on the same ground. They are all on the same table, because there is no one, above the other. We are all the same. We are all equal. So there is no, like in the tribunals, there is the judge, there is on the top, and then there is the prosecutor, and then there are the actors with the plaintiff and the lawyers. And so forth. They have, if you go to a tribunal, you can see it's like a theater. there is the judge, and then all the other members. When you go down the, yes, the roles. There's a clerk, there's a prosecutor, the barrister, and then the lawyers, the plaintiff. Just the name themselves. The name a prosecutor goes to prosec. Prosecutor. Cuter, it's a always called this the skin. It's a skin in Latin.
Oh, cuticle.
Yes, so it comes from cute. Not cute in English, but cute in Latin, or like Italian or other Latin languages. They use the same word to represent to the skin. So the skin is cute, actually. So cute in English, cute skin. The prosecutor, it's somebody that goes against you, against yourself. The attorney is attorney is everything they do and everything they get told by the judge, or they say to the judge or to the other attorney, is something that they say in your place. So they are representing you. You don't say anything. They do everything. They just run the show by themselves. They just go. The attorneys, the judge, the prosecutor. They start to talk. They talk, and they say, okay, yes, you get fined. No, you get discharged, and no, it's a theater. The same, as I said, person comes from the Latin persona, and the persona is fiction.
Yeah.
Are in the theater are the masks, the actors. Those are the persona. So person is a legal term that identifies someone, a fictional entity. It can be a corporation, it can be a man or a woman, and it's called person. So we're living in a theater. We go there and we get judged, just like as they want, according to the law that they have written, according to the things that they say we must follow. And so if you go 10 kilometers per hour, faster on the highway, they say, no, you must, pay the fine and then all the consequences, because your insurance goes up and all this kind of thing. You didn't cause any harm to anyone, but you just make, according to them, an offense. So instead of going 100, you were going 110, 120. This is an offense. You must be prosecuted. And this is what the prosecutor does: prosecutes herself against the fault that you made, which in the Catholic Church, the fault, in this case, the offense, is the sin. So it's all a representation of the Inquisition that the Catholic Church used to make, during the Inquisition. That's why they are all in black. They represent the priests. And so you go there, you're summoned, you go there, you confess your sins, and you get your.
I was told that they were in black to represent the respect for the dead.
Well, in a certain sense, it's almost the same thing, because you're dead. Yes. Yeah. For them, according to them, you're dead. So not just respect, but it's a representation of death. And so that they are representing something dead, which is the fictional person when you are there. And so you're dead. Dead on the tombstone. Your name is written on in capital letters. When you go to the cemetery, on the tombstone, it's all capital. This is what the capital letter means. Everything has a meaning. And so they use all the meanings and symbols and all the things that comes always from the Vatican. And they started with the Inquisition. and they established the tribunals. And the tribunals are, the representation of the priest, the confession, the sin, and you have to pay for your sin. And this is the pantomime.
Thank you.
No, it's pretty interesting, and you know where all those things come from, and when you know when those things come from, you say, so what's the tribunal? Well, you don't fear them anymore. You fear them when you don't know. When you don't have knowledge, the fear goes up, and they're controlled by the fear. That's why they never tell you anything but what they want you to know, which is just obey and comply. They don't tell you anything else. Just obey and comply, and everything goes well.
Or what you ask.
No?
That's why.
Yes, exactly.
The quality of our lives is directly determined by the quality of questions we're willing to ask ourselves. So
yes,
we are over the hour and a half mark today, and
yes.
so I don't want to cut you short if you have more that you want to share. It seems like you have.
Oh well, I mean it's enough. Just like a general conversation. It's I think even enough, because then too much information. You get a little bit, even dizzy. Say, what's going on here? Yeah. Everything I knew since I was born, it's false. It's a complete. It's like a fable, It's something unreal. We are living a virtual life.
Yeah.
Which actually is.
It's very disheartening when you wake up and you realize you're not alone, and that there are already people
and slowly
have found this information and that are here. Yeah. And that's why we do these meetings once a week. So Thursdays at 4:00, Chantal and I connect these, and even, Chantal, I know you don't necessarily always say a tremendous amount, but I wouldn't be able to do what I do the way that I do it so much if I didn't know that I had you with me, and that you were able to challenge my thinking and help me ask the questions and go deeper. So
yes, one little thing that actually is connected with what you asked before. Since we are the different little groups, how we can all together. So since the people that vibrate the same way, they always connect together, and not only they connect, but they are empowered when they connect. So that means that. If I have an apple and you have an apple and we exchange an apple, we always have an apple. But if I have a thought and you have a thought and we exchange a thought, we have two thoughts each. Spiritual things are different from physical things, always. And two people that exchange thought, you are empowered and you have more knowledge than before, because you learn each other. Imagine if you are a group of people that make the same thing. And that's why I was looking even to other people who are taking action. And taking action under the Magna Carta Article 61 is one way. Taking action under the common law and tribunal common law, which is a Stanford D, that they are making those tribunals. And pretty once or twice a month they do something. Because they receive letters from parents, and so they are able to send notification letter to I don't know, district boards, or the police, for mayors. It depends what is the action that is going on. So they are actually taking action, and when you go there, you're even able to interact with those people that actually are making those very tribunals, which are organizing, and they're making, the weekly Zoom, which generally is on Fridays, every Friday, where they sometimes invite some judges and some other people who already have done, tribunals somewhere else, or they can talk about the action they're going to be the next week, or they always talk about the common law and how to take action. And those, Zooms are really informative, because with the information that you already have, plus their information, you're able to put things together, and everything becomes clearer. And you say, oh, okay, so I was thinking to do this, but I noticed that they do this way. So I can combine even the Article 61, which I stand for, I stand under, and I can send this notice, to this, I don't know, corporation, this entity, and I can put this also, because it's my right as a man, as a woman. And you get empowered. Your message goes, stronger. And once all those things connect together, and so there is a tribunal, and there is the possibility to get a trial with a common law tribunal, and you can make your notices under the Magna Carta, and you can make notices to the authority when you open up a store and you don't want to close according to their regulations under the lockdowns and whatever they do, and they say. Then you're able to understand how to use a notice, on your windows, the window of your shop, or talking actually with a cop or a bylaw officer. And everything comes natural, because of the same information that we repeat, constantly. If you notice, are always the 3, 4, 5 things we repeat all the time, and those are the only 4 or 5 weapons that we have.
Exactly.
And they're so powerful that you can stop a cop, you can stop a tribunal, you can stop anything. So getting together even with other informations, from other sources, people that not only talk to talk, because it's something that you have to know and talking about, because this is the knowledge and information that goes, other people actually get. But walking the walk, then when you actually have a shop and you put the notice on the shop, on the sign on the window, and the officer comes on your door, and then the things comes to become interesting. You don't fear them, and you don't fear even if they give you a ticket, because you know that the ticket is nothing. It's just an intimidation.
Absolutely.
And many people don't open up today just for this fact, because they are afraid to get a ticket, and so they just, right now, they are not earning anything. If they get a ticket, they close, and they are bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
And that's the fear that the government wants us, to have, and this is the fear that with which they control us.
Yeah, it's the control tactic, and it's the way that they will be able to take us out if we don't step up sooner and just put our foot down. However, if maybe we've already let it go down the path far enough that there are going to be consequences for the actions that we've chose, which is inaction over the last year already, and we're already seeing that. And so we'll continue to gather, and people like Mario can come on and share what you guys have been learning and gathering to be able to help educate people at a deeper level. And what needs to happen is all of this information then goes into a shared space where then it's common knowledge, and we can actually remember who we are, why we're here, and how powerful we truly are when we band together, instead of trying to compartmentalize ourselves and just do our job, when the truth is we're part of this whole thing. And so let's just be stronger together and come together again next Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And anybody that is interested as well, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, I do a reading, and it's Saint Germain on alchemy. So we're on to the next part of that reading. If you're interested, I do that on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, Chantal?
I was just going to say to Mario, I would really be interested in hearing your take on Mark Christopher's videos. If you want to.
Mark or James?
Mark.
James.
Mark Christopher.
Mark Christopher. I don't think I know Mark Christopher.
No, yeah,
Uh,
it's very interesting information. I would love to hear your take on some of the things that he talks about.
oh, okay. No, because since there is another guy, it's a James Christopher. He's in
Oh,
Burlington. And he actually does. He has a website, and he
yeah,
does videos and Zoom calls twice a week on those matters, and he helps for free people, going on trial, having troubles with the law through the common law.
that's good to know.
As that's why I thought it was James, but you talked to me about Mark
Yep, this is
Christopher.
an English chap.
Hmm.
And he has
And
a lot of information on all of this. And
does he have a website?
well, he's just on YouTube under Mark Christopher.
Oh, okay, it's a YouTube. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh well, I'll take a look to him as well.
They
Yeah,
yeah,
were
because I follow all of those, that make and take action or do some education or spread, the knowledge on the matter.
yeah.
So yes, good to know this Mark. Yeah, you can look up James.
Yes, I
James
will.
Christopher. James Christopher is in Burlington. He has a website and a channel, a Warrior Calls.
Oh,
It's called.
I'm on that. Yeah,
You know him.
yeah.
Yeah.
that was the other one that
and
you had sent me, and I remember I got partway through where there was a business owner that had kept his.
oh, you remember that? That's
I
powerful.
pardon?
That's powerful. That's a
Yes,
powerful, you know.
yeah. It's to be able to advocate for yourself and be able to demonstrate that you did. So,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. So,
It's a kind of mentor. He's a kind of mentor because he tells you what to do, and then he leaves you doing the job, and then he goes and reviews what you've done, saying, "Oh, okay, you did well," or you could do, otherwise here
oh, now
because
I understand. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay,
so he actually mentors people.
yeah.
Yeah, this is the way it works. If you see other videos that he make, and he speaks, exactly to the owner, to the business owner, saying, okay, so you make the video when the cops, and you tell whatever we talk about here,
Yeah.
and then we review your video together, and we talk about what happened there, and if you did good or you could improve, whatever you did. And this is another great educator. And the Stanford D, actually, the organizer, they talk too very much and often with James Christopher. So they are already well connected together, and I follow them, very very often. I used to go and see their videos.
Fantastic. Well, you're
Yeah.
a absolute resource. So we are really glad that you found our group and that you're coming to these summits and contributing today. So definitely my mind, the little emoticon is going to just have a little bit of exploded matter between it and the top of it. So we're going to call today a wrap, unless
All right. All right. Yeah.
Chantal, did you have anything that you wanted to add in? No. So huge thank you, Mario, for showing up.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And just said, hey, we'd really like to get some real live practical experience from people walking the talk, and you showed up and you led the summit. So thank you for being a sovereign man who is standing in your power, understanding your rights, sharing and advocating for your freedoms, rights, not just for yourself, but for all of us to remember who we truly are.
For others, well, yes, we are all one. The oneness of the law oneness of the universe.
Yeah.
We're all connected.
Love
So
it.
we can just have power and empower others, if we share. If we don't share those things, it's useless, because we're gonna stay, in the same lie, in the same treacherous government and laws that we have and will live today. So
No, it's going to get way worse, because I read a quote just the other day that it said, what we tolerate, the next generation embrace. And there is no
yes,
way I want to be an elder in a home one day with the children being raised right now that are being taught not to have compassion or human interaction skills. There's no way that I want to be in the hands of those kids, not because the
exactly.
kids are corrupt, but because they're being corrupted and we're allowing it. And now we all, whether parents or not, need to take a stand and say, we need to speak for the ones that can't do it for themselves, don't have the
Yes,
confidence, don't have the know-how. We're on this, we're strong, and we're only
yes,
stronger when we're together. Alone, even a strong one comes down when too many come at that one. So let us be the ones that band together and become the ripple effect that turn our backs to the center where we're all protected, and then move out from that sense of security and foundation of knowing that we've got each other's backs, because if we don't,
yes.
a corporation's not going to.
No, absolutely. And we should reintroduce those things, this information into the school system.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
because children, they don't, they don't deserve to listen to sex and sex education, useless things that they just want, the government just want our kids to understand and listen to, because they want them in a certain way. They want to,
They're
they
corrupting
want
them.
to yes, they want to educate, to brainwash them since they are little, to think in a certain way.
Yeah.
We just need to, the awareness, starts from when you're young, and when you know your rights, and when you know that you are a man and a woman, not a kid that you can change sex, okay, you can be a transgender, or you can be whatever they say you can be. So those are the important things actually to, to talk to at school and to teach.
Well, there's a transhumanism movement right now that
Oh
is
yes,
making it
it starts
so
from the government.
it's all part of the strategy to confuse kids, because if they don't know who they are on the level of their
Yeah,
gender or their sex, then how is anything else in life going to make sense if they're confused about that
no one.
fundamental thing that generally we say, okay, like clearly I'm this, and then suddenly now we say, well, I don't want to be this, I want to be that, which
I want to be that.
you
But
can't.
why? Yes.
You only want to be something because you haven't found out how amazing you are. So just let's figure out how to just keep reminding people of our sovereignty by coming together again. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Unless I feel like we could go on forever, because the quality of people that are in this screen, even though it is few, it is mighty. So if you've been watching this, it's been our honor and hopefully your pleasure too. And we look forward to seeing the comments below. Do show up next week, and it's going to be at the same time, 4 o'clock Thursdays, Eastern Standard Time. We peaceful inner warriors united come together to be lawfully organized in a summit where you are welcome, invited, and you are required. So please do join us next time. Thank you for today.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mario.
very much. No problem. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Ciao.
Hi, guys.
Bye.